Welcome to the next video in my series about the Dark Eye core rules, and I'm still telling you things about the tradition of the witches. There are two topics left: the broom of the witches, which they use to fly, and the curses. And the broom is actually, it doesn't have to be a broom, it just has to be a wooden object. Traditionally it's a broom, but it's also not unusual that it is a walking stick or a fighting staff or something like that. And it is turned into a flying object on a special meeting of witches. They usually meet at night somewhere in a special place. In German it is called a witch night, where they basically brew a certain salve together and then they apply it to their whatever they use to fly, the wooden object, and this turns the wooden object into a flying object for about a year. And then they have to meet again and brew another salve. And usually you have to bring your object with you. It has to be, the salve has to be applied at that night, and you don't get enough to take home with you. And when you lose your object, if you lose your broom, your staff, or whatever, then you will have no chance to get the salve anywhere else but in a year in this special night. So you're without your flying broom for that time. And as I said, it just has to be any flying object. Especially, for example, there has been a very famous witch, which is dead now, who used to fly in a very big basket because it was just more convenient. And especially when witches get older, they may choose to use something like a chair or even a rocking chair to fly in, because it is just more convenient if you're older. The chair or the broom cannot carry a lot. You can take people along with you. You can take some equipment and you're familiar with you, but it is usually not enough to take another person with you. And the broom is quite fast. It can fly 50 Aventurian miles per hour, which is 50 kilometers per hour. And it's not blazingly fast, but for Aventurian speed this is quite good, especially as you can get straight to your you don't have to travel over land. There are no obstacles in your way. You can travel the straight route. So this is a very powerful and very useful ability. It's also a bit dangerous because people can see you and see that you're a witch, and depending on where you are, they might not like that you're a witch. And it's not common to burn witches, but depending where you are and what is happening in the area, people may start blaming stuff on you, and then they might think they have to burn you to get rid of a curse or something. Which brings us to the next topic, the curses of the witches. A curse is something like you would know from a fairy tale. It is the witch casts the curse in the presence of the victim, and she says, you are going to suffer this and that consequences unless you are doing something to avoid it. And this is basically how she curses someone. There are curses just like spells with special effects, but the witch has to curse someone in its presence, and she has to say how the person can avoid the curse. And there are different ways to curse someone. One way I have already explained. It is through the familiar. The familiar can transmit the curse, and in that case, the familiar will also telepathically transmit the curse. So the person will know that it has been cursed and that it has to do something to avoid the curse, because there will be 24 hours before the curse comes into effect, and the victim will have the chance to do something about the curse. A way to get rid of the curse is also to ask the witch to take the curse off of you. The witch can do this willingly to end the curse even before it has started. And another way is to kill the witch, because when the witch is dead, the curse will also end. The curse itself works like a spell. You have to make a spell check on it, and so it is easier to cast than a normal spell. When it is against a resistance, the resistance doesn't work like it normally does. It is basically halved. And I'm now going through the list of curses that are listed here, and to give you an idea what kind of curse there are. The first is called Bite on Stone or something like that, and it basically turns everything the person touches, every food, into stone or some other material like wood or slime or dung or something like that. You can turn stuff into gold or diamonds if you searching for a way to get rich, and the material will turn back after a few minutes into its original form. The curse will not affect fluids, so the person can still eat soups and drink water or drink milk. But everything else will be turned into stone, and it doesn't help if you use a tool to eat this stuff, because it will turn into stone in your mouth. So if you're using something to get it into your mouth, it will turn to stone in your mouth. The next thing is the next curse will attract animals, predators, to the victim, and the victim will basically smell like a really, really delicious treat, and animals will attack the person. Wild animals and domesticated animals too. Domesticated animals may be able to be calmed down, but wild animals will not be able to calm down. They will basically attack and try to eat the victim of the curse. Then there is a curse that basically brings down a storm, a sandstorm, a snowstorm or something, or will rain down on an area of land and will basically destroy the crop, destroy houses, will hurt people there. The curse will last, the storm will last for a few minutes, and it can happen when you are unprotected in that storm, and you can't get away. You might even die because it does so much damage. And next curse in German, it is called witch shot. I don't know what the translation. I have to look up the translation. Sorry. The translation is lumbago. Oh, is it lumbago? So you will have a pain in your back and you can't really move, and this will last for a few hours. The most spells last for several days. The storm lasts for a few minutes or a few hours. This lasts for a few hours too. Then this curse will make the person roll critical failures more often, and it basically says you roll critical failures not only on 20 but also on a 19. And in additional, you will just be unlucky, and stuff will happen. Not only when you roll critical failure, you will just drop stuff and destroy stuff, and you will stumble and fall and run over things and stuff like that. And when something bad is happening, it's going to happen to you, and so on and so on. Then you can curse someone with a disease. The person will simply have a disease while the curse is lasting. You can curse someone with insomnia, so the person is not able to sleep, and with all the consequences, will have problem. Technically, the person will not be able to concentrate, and talent tests and spell tests and so will be more difficult the longer the person is awake. Then you can curse someone with infertility. So for a duration of several weeks, the person is not able to make children, or the animals are not able to have children. And if a pregnant person or pregnant animal is struck with this, the unborn child may die or will die. Then you can curse the person to grow a lot of warts during a few days, which will make the person look really, really ugly for everybody else. And it basically gives you the disadvantage ugly, and it takes the advantage good looking out of effect. So you will lose the good looking for the time while you're under the curse and get the disadvantage ugly. And the last curse is you cannot move your tongue, which prevents you from speaking. So also this is will be a great problem for mages, because they need to say the formula when they're casting spells, and the person, aside from being basically voiceless or cannot talk, it is also tends to drooling all the time. So these are the curses. Again, there are other curses. In the 4th edition there were a few more curses. I expect later publications, regional modules, or the special book about the magical rules to include more curses for witches. That's everything that is about the tradition of the witches. There's one tradition left, that's the Elven tradition. If you have questions about the witches tradition, then feel free to ask, comment, write me a message, and I'll try to answer it. For the witches, that's it for now, so bye.